Yeah, hello, good morning. Welcome to Interzoo. Einen schönen guten Morgen, herzlich willkommen. Endlich wieder Interzoo hier in Nuremberg.
Finally, we've got Interzoo here in Nuremberg, and I'm very happy to see you all again. Many familiar faces that I've seen on previous press conferences. I'm really happy that you're here, and I hope that everybody
needs a headset got one so that you can hear the translation.
I'm happy to be able to welcome you and give you some information about the situation of international pet market as well as the German pet market. And we will tell you about the impact of the COVID pandemic on pet ownership in Germany and on Interzoo, and what the organizers have done to respond to the different needs. We have a press folder, and hopefully you got one when you came in at the entrance. But all of you can get in digital form at interzoo.com in the newsroom all these press releases and the texts. Please ask your questions at the end of the addresses. At the end, we will have sufficient time to do Q&A. And so I'd like to introduce all the dialogue partners up here. We have Norbert Holt-Heinrich, the president of ZZF, German Pet Trade and Industry Association, the honorary sponsor of Interzoo trade show. And this is where the Interzoo was born at their association's meetings many years ago. And he will say something about the international and the German market. Then we have next Georg Müller, chairman IVH, that is the Industrial Association of Pet Care Producers, and they cooperate, these two associations, and they also research the market data. I'm happy that you're here. Then we have Gordon Bonnet, the managing director of ZZF and WZF, the pet industry services, the organizers of Interzoo, and he will say something about why we did Interzoo Digital last year and how we responded to all the different circumstances. And then I'd like to welcome Dr. Romina Arzt, the head of exhibitions by WZF, and she organizes practically everything that has to do with Interzoo. And I'd like to hand over to Norbert Holt-Heinrich, the president of ZZF. Thank you very much, Ms. Schreiber, and good morning. In Nuremberg, ladies and gentlemen, I also am very happy to be able to welcome you back here at this press conference in a face-to-face situation. After 4 years' time, did you ever feel so poor, so depressive that you thought things can't go on, and then your dog comes and presses its head against your thigh, and you suddenly see that there are options and not only crisis, and that's what we learned from pets. Pets do not have any prejudices, and they bring us down to earth, and they don't know any fake news, and they are just fun. But now we have problems. So we've got pandemics, we've got supply bottlenecks, we have a climate crisis, we have a war in the Ukraine, and we're afraid of an economic crisis. But our industry has a big advantage because pets make you more resilient and they make you happy. And I'm saying this not only because I'm a convinced pet holder, pet owner, and it's not only a statement. It has been confirmed by a study of Dr. Corinne McCullen of Colorado State University. During the COVID pandemic, she made a survey among pet owners and found out that these pets helped during the lockdown to reduce depressions, fears, isolation, and loneliness. And this is the first effect of the crisis on the pet ownership. The importance of a pet as a companion has increased. At times of insecurity and distance, those pets give you stability. They offer consolation and physical closeness. The images of the refugees from the war zone in Ukraine who were carrying their children and at the same time brought their pets along show that not only in Germany, pets have become family members. And therefore, we're not surprised that during the COVID pandemic in almost all countries of Western and Eastern Europe, more pets were owned than before. And on this chart, you can see that according to Euromonitor market research, in the European comparison, only Russia and Italy had more pets than the Germans had. Especially in the first year of the pandemic, many new years were bought. In the second year, there were less acquisitions. That means the share of the households with different types of pets remained almost stable last year. Pet retail trade could not always meet all the demand because some of the animals were not imports, and suddenly you cannot breed more immediately. And the COVID pandemic and its effects, like for instance the home office, played a role with most owners, but only a subordinate one. So we see that it is more the impact of changes, conditions of life, with owners of dogs, 32%, and with terrarium owners with 36%. Almost half of the German households have cats, dogs, small animals, ornamental birds, ornamental fish, or terrariums. It is important that the share of pet-owning households with children have increased by 3 percentage points to 69%. In a time when children could not go to kindergarten or school, they could learn social cohabitation with their pets because they took care of them. This has been confirmed by pet owners. There was a study by the communication consulting company Take 5 Media, and they found that 83% of the people think that pets will help to teach children to assume responsibility. Now let's look at another effect of the pandemic. The increasing importance of pet ownership is shown in the development of the pet market. Pet owners spend 6 billion euro for their pets. They're looking after their own health and also after that for of their animals. The health promoting hygienic articles or premium food or snacks, something like that. But not only the pets were taken better care of, but also the wild animals were taken better care of. 162 million euros, that is 26.6% more than the previous year, Germans spent on the feed for wild birds. They also now take care of insects and hedgehogs. And more people are keeping bees and chicken. And so the zoo retailers also expand their range. And this meant that this growth made Germany the first ranking country in the European sales ranking, and closely thereafter the UK and France. US European pet market grew by 4.5%. Worldwide, the market even grew by 9.6%, and Euromonitor says that the market volume amounted to 135 billion euros. The biggest markets are the North America, 58 billion euros, and the Western European one with 29.8 billion euros. But also Asia Pacific has increased very much. Pet owners in 2021 spent about 23 billion euros for pet products. During the lockdown, most European countries kept the pet shops open. In Germany, they even had the status of being relevant and therefore eligible for staying open. And they continuously sold hygienic products, technology, special feeds, and so on. But at the same time, online trade grew enormously by 28.4%, up to 1 billion euros. Ladies and gentlemen, if retrospectively assessing the market development in 21 shows the global pet industry has well weathered the challenges of the COVID pandemic. Whether this positive trend will continue is uncertain because already during the pandemic, supply chains were interfered with seriously. And therefore, this resulted in bottlenecks and production problems. And this war in the Ukraine even makes it worse. And therefore, the question arises, can we have reliable energy supplies? Raw materials for animal feed and materials will become more and more expensive, especially because of the higher cost of transport. Some raw materials you cannot even get at all. And many companies bring their production back to Europe. The consequences that this will have for the pet food industry will be reported by Mr. Georg Müller in a minute. In the shops, the shortage and the increase in price of raw materials led to some bottlenecks. Especially for aquariums and terrariums, energy supply is very important. Therefore, in the first quarter of this year, the demand in the segments aquaristic and terraristic in the pet shops was very restrained. But we hope that we will not have any gaps in our supplies and can be filled fast. What this will mean in the long term, we don't know yet. But I'm convinced that we are going to weather all the crises. We are inventive and product developments as well. And the new framework conditions will be used to continue to work for the well-being of our pets. We also optimize technology for less energy use, and all of this will be shown at this year's Interzoo trade show. And we will see this again and again and make us convinced that there is a priority for this and that the pets will make you happy. And now I hope you have interesting discoveries and an interesting stay. Thank you.
Thank you, Norbert Holt-Hendrich. I will now pass the microphone to Georg Müller, the president of the IVH, the Industry for Pet Care. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished members of the press, and of course to distinguished representatives of the CCF and the WCF. I'm very pleased that after 4 years we can finally meet in person again here at the Interzoo trade show. Currently, it seems as if the COVID pandemic no longer has such a strong hold on our daily lives as it did in the past 2 years. Instead, other issues dominate our everyday lives, for example, like war in Ukraine and soaring prices. But before I go into that, let us take a look at the past year. Mr. Holt-Hendrich already commented on how the population has developed. With regards to sales development, I will limit myself to very few brief statements at this point. You will find more details on the market and its development in the press releases which have been already published in advance. In summary, many people in 2021 continue to focus on taking care of their home pets, feeding them healthily, and offering pet-friendly environments. As a result, the total market for pet food and supplies exceeded the 6 billion euro mark for the first time. Of this amount, around 4.8 billion was generated by brick-and-mortar specialty and food retailers. That is an increase of around about 6%. Once again, dog and cat food accounted for the largest share of this market. We also saw considerable development in online retail, where sales rose by more than 25% to 1,055 billion euros. In addition to ready-packaged pet food, supplies, and accessories, we also saw that they were highly coveted and had an increase of 4.6% compared to 2020. This can be attributable to increasing investments in aquariums, toys, and other necessities for the family pet. Of course, we hope that this positive trend will continue. Unfortunately, there have been some recent developments that are making things quite difficult for our industry. I would like to outline some of them now. When the COVID pandemic hit the country in March 2020 and the first lockdown was imposed, all companies were very concerned about whether they would be able to keep up production and continue catering to the needs of their pets. Fortunately, there have been no downtimes in our factories, and our industry has managed to come through this crisis relatively unscathed. We managed to maintain our sales and also production and jobs. It is also thanks to the successful efforts of our associations, our industry was considered as relevant to the system. In the course of 2021, however, the skies over our companies darkened. First slowly, and then ever faster since fall, the prices for raw materials, energy, and many other products started to rise. Surely, almost all industries are currently struggling with extensive cost increases. But in the pet food production, a particularly large number of negative factors are coming together. Prices for oil and fat, for example, have soared over 200%. Grains cost almost 100% more than they did before, and the price for proteins has increased by between 40 and 80% depending on the type of animal and the quality. On top of that, prices for packaging and freight are on the rise as well. Energy prices are increasing quite severely depending on the contract status, and there are delivery bottlenecks and delays in container traffic. Of course, we can and must increase our selling prices. But with these all-encompassing inflationary forces, we must all make sure that we do not lose our customers. People will only continue keeping pets if it is affordable for a large proportion of our society. It would be more than a pity if the many advantages of the human-animal relationship were to fall victim to rising costs. The reasons for the cost increases are manifold. In the past years, all over the globe, we have seen poor harvests due to the weather influences. The COVID pandemic has caused labor shortages in some of the agricultural sectors. We have seen less livestock due to the avian flu, swine fever, and also as a consequence of higher regulatory requirements. We also saw rising global demand for biofuels that has had a great influence on the price of oils and fats. And, as you all know, for a couple of weeks now, we are also seeing the effects of the war on the Ukraine and its effects on the wheat markets and the cereals markets. And we're able to see that the cereals harvest have fallen very short this year compared to other years. So every day we can see this being discussed in the media. And we see how this is affecting our gas supply as well, our energy supply, and how prices are being speculated, and all of this is having a huge impact also on the production in our industry. Given this multitude of causes, I fear that price increases will persist in the long term. Manufacturers and distributors will have to shoulder this new cost level together in order to be able to offer livestock farmers somewhat reasonable prices. Another challenge that will preoccupy us extensively in the future and lead to further cost hikes is the issue of sustainability. The pet industry, just like all other sectors of life, faces the challenge of complying with the Green Deal and the Paris Climate Change Conference. The most important issues we face relate to protein, animal welfare, packaging, and energy. Finding the right answers will take some time and also some effort. But there is no alternative. We already discussed this topic back in 2014, that is 8 years ago, together with the European umbrella organization FEDIAF. We were one of the first industrial sectors to actively collaborate with the EU Commission in developing methods to calculate product-specific carbon footprints. This knowledge is already benefiting the members of our association today. Here in Germany as well, the topic has already found its way to the industry. A recent survey among our members shows that for 92%, the topic of sustainability is already firmly established. The number one concern was everything related with packaging, and then followed by energy. We at the Industrial Association of Pet Care Producers will accompany our members and thus the majority of the industry on the path to sustainability and actively develop solutions. We're already offering numerous informative events, and we're constantly expanding our network of experts. In addition, we will draw up a sustainability strategy with a newly established committee. This way, we will ensure that the issue is treated as a priority in our industry and within our companies. In this way, this topic will also have the necessary industry within the company as well. So there's plenty to do to ensure that in the future we can continue to supply sustainable and affordable products for one of the most beautiful hobbies that we have in the world, keeping pets and keeping them happy and healthy. With this in mind, I bid you all a good start to this year's Interzoo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Müller, that you, as a food manufacturer, also consider this a hobby. Yeah, I can well imagine this. And now the next speaker, Gordon Bonnet, the Managing Director of ZZF and WZF GmbH, the Interzoo organizer. Welcome to all. It's wonderful to see you here. Nuremberg has come back to Nuremberg. Of course, it was never gone totally away, but it was not planned, but we had to leave our face-to-face events. So last time we offered something what we found possible to do it virtually, Interzoo Digital. It worked quite well, but still, when you come here and you've noticed the difference, people smiling and being in front of you, that's wonderful. This digital meetings can work, are very practical, and they provide networking, but they can't do everything that a face-to-face meeting can do. After we therefore had to give up on Interzoo 2022, it took many years until 4 years until we meet again today. So we said last year it was very difficult to create Interzoo Digital with only a few months preparation. But also this time it was quite difficult to organize this. The pandemic injected a great deal of uncertainty into the planning process, and even now, exhibitors and visitors from many countries are hardly able to attend, not to the extent that they would have normally done. The dreadful war in Ukraine has led to further restrictions. Thus, the exceedingly difficult framework conditions have called for much flexibility, courage, and heightened drive by all of us. So this applies to exhibitors and to organizers as well. And therefore, this Interzoo must be seen as a marvelous collective accomplishment and achievement on the part of everyone involved. I'm exceedingly pleased that both the international trade press and the German trade media have already expressed their appreciation for this tremendous effort. Thank you most sincerely for your support. You always believed in Interzoo, so did we. Thanks for that. Our industry needs Interzoo. It's the ideal platform for finding new suppliers, sharing ideas and opinions, and making contacts for the future, holding discussions within the industry association, educating yourself, getting training, keeping your finger on the pulse of times. Norbert Holtrendrich has just said, and also Mr. Müller said it, the supply bottlenecks are quite common. Therefore, we can help at the trade show to find alternative production sites and also to network in a new way. And this always is about confidence, and confidence and trust can be built best when you have a direct personal contact, because only jointly can we master the challenges of this day and age, also in the pet industry. And at this point, I do not want to dwell on this more intensively, but I'd like to mention what it is. It's keywords: globalization, digitization, and sustainability. They're more than mere buzzwords, but they are rather expressing necessary far-reaching change process that require continuous adjustment and recalibration. The Association of the German Trade Fair Industry is bringing attention to the changes in the trade fair landscape caused by the COVID pandemic. With its Germany-wide campaign, Messe Monat Mai, Trade Fair Month of May. And that means we have more than 50 trade shows in the month of May in Germany. And of course, Interzoo wants to participate in this, and that will be substantially covered by social media today. It will be a really strong month for trade shows. Most of these trade shows are international, just as the leading fair worldwide for pet industry, Interzoo, which has just begun and will offer a unique blend of topics, campaigns, and presentations spanning the entire pet industry here in one place. We're looking forward to the inspirational experience of absorbing the presentation of the trade fair stands. And I think it makes you feel that how keen they were on being here and showing the products, that they can finally show the products they've been developing for years and could only present digitally. And I hope you enjoy all of the interactions we're offering. We have well-known brands, we have new innovative companies and startups that we'll address in a minute again. And of course, the people that want to talk to each other. And that's what Interzoo is. It's a big reunion, meeting people again, and ties are being strengthened and new contacts are made and the web becomes closer. And I hope that all of this will come together. The topics we have, the challenges, whether it's something positive or problematic, all of this comes together. Ideally, this one magical moment will come about. And I think we already noticed this last night in the opening session. After the digital era, the physical exchange is not only important, but also feels good, and it is important. The innovations that we have invented to thrill our visitors this year will be explained by Robina Arzt. And this here was planned, exactly. This was the word, because the center of attention at Interzoo is, of course, pets. We haven't talked about pets yet. We want to make the lives of the pets that are owned by humans as well good as possible. If the pet is doing well, then the owner is doing well too. Of course, responsible pet ownership is sometimes defined in different ways, but health, animal welfare always is the top priority. And people love pets. They want to live with them, and they always consider them a family member. And as the responsible association, we are working for making the living with pets of all different types as easy as possible and as agreeable as possible. Therefore, we have introduced the Heidelberg Standards, and these are updated all of the time. And we also discuss them very intensively. We inform the industry via several channels on all of these things. The pet industry, the pet shops help pet owners decide which pets are best suited for them and how to take care of them. Dog grooming salons teach owners how to groom their pets. We too provide information to pet owners about how to best take care of their particular pets once the work from home trend fades and they have to spend more time at their office again. And this also we do together with IVH. We don't leave people standing in the rain. Many political issues transcend our own national borders. For this reason, the close collaboration between our organizations, the German Pet Trade and Industry Association and transnational organizations such as the European Pet Organization and the International Pet Advisory Council are a big win, because we cooperate with them very, very closely. And both EPO and our German association are holding their joint members' annual general meetings here. And this IPAC meeting is the physical summit meeting of international pet accessories Interzoo with 15 online and many physical members that are present. The awareness, the responsibility, the love for animals has not changed, and it is demonstrated again after the war in Ukraine broke out. There are sanctuaries and transports, especially to help these animals, and we, together with other organizations, donated a 5-digit figure, and together with Nuremberg Messe, we are calling for a donation from you. At the end of this fair, the surplus of the products that you do not want to ship home can be collected in Hall 10. They will then be properly packed, transported to Ukraine, and hopefully will help many of the distressed animals. It has already been mentioned last year, and there was a lot of applause for it, and I think it will be well accepted. And what is important for us is that the close ties between humans and pets is demonstrated again, and we, of course, want to maintain and strengthen it, and that's why we also support this activity. And with this in mind, I wish for all of us a successful, responsible and forward-looking trade fair with many good discussions about new ways of promoting the welfare of humans and pets alike. Thank you very much.
Ja, vielen Dank.
All right, thank you very much, Gordon Bonnet. And now we are going to pass the mic to Ms. Rowena Arts, who's going to tell us about all the facts and data that we can learn here at the Interzoo. Oh, but I'm not just going to talk about facts and data, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start with an emotional speech. I want to really convey that trade shows are platforms for meetings and encounters. They allow you to experience the entire industry with all of your senses, and would like to invite you to experience it and to discover all the novelties we have here. Celebrate, and please really do celebrate that you are able to see your colleagues, customers, partners, suppliers, and everyone in the pet care industry in person again after such a long time. Talk about all the important industry topics. We already heard about sustainability, for example, and learn about new markets and possibilities out there. That is something that we've already talked about today as well. Use this opportunity to network, not only in person, but also online. And with this in mind, we have prepared Interzoo 2022 to comply with all of these goals. We have many different new services and innovations at this Interzoo. This year, we have a service that encompasses 12 exhibition halls, which offers more than enough space for all kinds of encounters. For the first time, we have 3 entrances to the trade show facilities in order to make processes quick and so you don't have to stand in line for too long. Of course, for us, it's always wonderful to see how you have the masses go into the facilities. So these 12 exhibition halls will be used by more than 1,300, it is 1,333 exhibitors from more than 60 countries. And they can use all of this area of the facility for discussions, conversations, forge new connections and contacts with registered visitors from more than 127 countries. The pet industry, everyone in the pet industry, they want to meet up. And that's something that we can really see in the figures that we have registered here. We have 276 exhibitors from Germany, which is by far the largest group, followed by 120 from the from Italy, 101 from the UK, 73 from the United States, 72 from the Netherlands, and then we also have representatives from all countries from all over the world. So we can see that in spite of the difficult circumstances, we even have people from China that were able to visit and exhibit here at this trade show. This shows how important Interzoo is on the global stage. Interzoo is a place where the international pet care community can get together and celebrate their innovations and successes. We know that many people trust the brand Interzoo, and we'd like to thank all of these people who have kept their loyalty and have kept believing in us in spite of the past years that were very, very difficult. So thank you very, very much for staying true to us and coming here this year to the Nuremberg Messe. This year, we're also going to have the opportunity of seeing new startups and all of these innovative ideas here in person. You can go to the exhibition booths, to the different country pavilions, to the product showcases, or to the startup innovation stage, and you can get in touch with all of these people face-to-face in person. We have quite a few new things this year in store. For example, we have a very comprehensive program for startup companies that we have reunited in Hall 11. Here we have international companies that have the opportunity to present themselves on an international level, and this has reached huge acceptance. We have more than 50 startup companies that are represented here in an area of 700 square meters. Another novelty is the Interzoo Fresh Ideas stage. You should really swim by and have a look at that in Hall 11. It is here where these startups can present their innovative products for the first time. And then there's a huge highlight I would like to recommend. That's a Fresh Ideas contest. That's on Friday from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. It's kind of like a game show format. And here these companies can present their ideas and win prizes. So I would like to invite you to come to this event and not miss out on it. When it comes to the startups, we can see that, as Herr Müller already mentioned, sustainability is a huge topic for our industry as well. And that is something we can very clearly see in the sustainability study of the Interzoo this year. In 2018, we launched this project and were able to survey all kinds of visitors and companies that came to the Interzoo and asked about their opinion regarding sustainability and how they have been able to implement it in their company. And in a majority of these companies, sustainability has been a central topic or will become a central topic. And that is something that we would like to continue supporting. Today at 1 o'clock in the St. Petersburg room, we have a conference on sustainability, and we would like to invite you to go to this conference where we will be looking at the results of the study, and we'll also be hearing two very interesting lectures of the Pet Sustainability Coalition, where we'll see many individual examples of sustainability, and we'll also see a very emotional speech by Fabien Leroux, who was able to swim through the Atlantic Ocean and was able to see the pollution of the oceans on first hand. He's going to tell us his story of how he got this idea and how he was prepared for this challenge. And I think that is something that is going to send chills down your back, and you should not miss out on it. These are only a few examples of the many events that we have accompanying the Interzoo. We also have the country sessions. There are 5 of them, where we're going to hear very interesting lectures on the markets in China, the United States, Scandinavia, Eastern Europe, and we're going to learn about market potentials and import controls, import requirements, and also new development opportunities, and have many opportunities to exchange information and exchange knowledge. We also have forums on aquascaping, grooming, etc. I think it's also going to be very interesting for you to come to the Interzoo party on Thursday evening, which is one of the highlights, and the party will be outside in the garden of our facilities. Here we will be able to come together and celebrate under the open sky with everyone who participated, and it's going to be awesome, so you should swim by. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, trade shows are opportunities to meet people, places to have new encounters. And to support this, we have developed this new Interzoo app, where we are able to integrate the physical world with the virtual online world. You have a ticket wallet with which you can go into the trade fair, and you can use a planner within the app and receive all kinds of information on the exhibitors, their profiles, and you also have a networking function that can help you really get in touch with people, and that's the core function that we have in this app. So use this QR code to download the app if you haven't done that yet, and just have a look around the app and see how you can make the best use out of it. This QR code is also very important for us at the trade show. You can scan them, not only the ones on the badges, you have them in your ticket, and you can just scan the QR code that you have on your badges and exchange the contact information of this person. So it's really easy to forge new connections. You can also access company profiles and product summaries. So that is an innovation that we're very excited about, because we wanted to have the best of both worlds, the physical world and the digital world. So, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to the 4 days of the Interzoo that await us. I really look forward to experience the trade show with you. I look forward to seeing all of the new innovations, to talk to all the different suppliers, to colleagues. I really look forward to be able to discuss the key and core industry topics, and I also look forward to learning about the market, about networking with you online and in person. So in this spirit, I wish you many informative and successful encounters at Interzoo 2022. Finally, we can do this in person and directly, face-to-face, with excellent digital preparation and follow-up. Thank you very much for your attention.
Vielen Dank, Dr. Rowena.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arzt. I'm also looking forward to this, to read and to see how you experience Interzoo, what you write about it later on. And now it's your turn to ask questions of our partners here. If you do want to ask, then please wait for the microphone, because otherwise the interpreters can't hear. I'm a retail pet owner. For decades, you could sell your foods for dogs and cats as a brand. But how can we together prevent that this brand that has been growing over years will now be damaged because the consumers start to buy in a different way? They might go for other brands, the supermarket brands, and the
in die Knie gehen könnten, aber nicht kurzfristig, sondern auf Dauer Schaden nehmen. Und gibt es eine Strategie?
So what is your strategy to prevent damage to your brand? Well, that's a very justified question. The price increases that we are facing now and that we are expecting for the future also mean that the brands will become much more expensive, and we must take good care that we don't lose the customers. And therefore, the entire supply chain has to think about how can we swallow these price increases. The producers and also the shops and also the end consumers will have to bear some of this. But we first have to find this balance this out, and it only just started, this development, and we have to stay in contact with the others to find out what can we pass on to consumers and what do we have to swallow as producers and trade. And it's very difficult to find this balance because we don't know that much about the consumer behavior, and it will also change because they will have more price increase. Some might say, I won't go on vacation, or I won't dispense with my car, and some might say, I will do without a pet. So we have to talk to each other very closely because it is a very, very important question, and we must stay on our toes. Mr. Domenske, I'm an independent journalist. Mr. Müller, you mentioned that 92% of your members have included sustainability in their business. Why do you say that? That's a fantastically figures. But if you go in a shop to the look at the shelves, and the products that are sustainable are very, very rare. But now you say almost everybody has a lot of sustainability in their products. Well, it depends on the definition of sustainability. It is not only products that are labeled sustainable. That usually depends on the raw materials that might have been produced with a smaller CO2 footprint. But it's not only about individual products, it's about the entire supply chain. And there we're talking about, number one, about proteins, because these are the modules that generate most CO2. So as an industry in general, we have to think about, do we need that much animal protein? Can we go to vegetable proteins, or can we go to insects? It's also about packaging. Do not use a bag that will be thrown away, but one that can be recycled. Then it's also about transport, energy consumption in production. So you cannot stick it to one product only. And this process has only started 1 or 2 years ago, and it will be a journey that will take a while, just as other industries do, but we will have to work on it. And 92% say that means that the members understood, yes, that is important, we have continue with this. And nowhere does it happen overnight, near nowhere in society. It will be a task for a long time. We are saying now that the mindset is focused on sustainability, and now this has to be translated into practice, and we have to live up to our responsibility towards society, because one will see it as a yardstick. But do you see, that is not the reality right now. We now know that the companies want to pursue sustainability, and now we as an association could work with them to put it into practice. Romina, I would like to add something here. We had similar figures. The Interzoo study also said that 90% of the companies said that sustainability is highly important. And we have a discrepancy of how they see the progress of their own company, that of the industry as a whole. But sustainability is a process. You cannot say from one day to the next, I'm sustainable now. And this has to be anchored in the mission statement, in the corporate philosophy, and then find the practical measures to do it. And of course, the next 10 years, we have to regroup, so to speak, regarding sustainability. And what we do in the next 10 years will have a big impact on how we live on this planet in the next 100 years. And I can only underline what Mr. Müller said. It's a process. And if we look at 2018 to today, as survey results, we see that sustainability is much more important. The main trigger still is customer demand and customer need. So if we center on the customer, then we see there is a lot of impetus from the customer side, but a lot of companies also see that it is a very big advantage for their own company in their corporate strategy if they focus on sustainability. Thank you very much, Dr. Arz. Now, during the tour, we will talk to some exhibitors about this topic as well, to say what exactly are they doing to become more sustainable. Any other questions? I must go back again. A few weeks ago, we had the Industry Trade Fair Forum in Frankfurt, and a multinational company, a CEO located in Switzerland, said by 2050 he'd be climate neutral and not produce any CO2. Is that avant-garde? Is that a spearhead? Or can you do that as well? Or could you never live up to this? But what he said was really a big promise, 2050 climate neutral. That means all of the farmers have to have electrical tractors or something like that. Well, we have even more ambition here in Germany because we want to be climate neutral by 2045. So what the Swiss corporation is doing is just normal. It's nothing special. And we also have to try to make it climate neutral doesn't mean that we are not producing any emissions, but we have to compensate some part of it. If we would make it, it would be great. But if you look at the speed of the energy turnaround that we're doing in Germany, this won't happen. It's much too slow. And what we are still producing in form of pollutants, we have to compensate for somehow. And then if you look at this, then this target 2045 is realistic, and it's still too slow, much too slow. If you see the forecasts of what will happen to climate, we should speed up. Maybe this target will be changed and it will be become more restricted. But we have to make it. We have to make it even faster. Thank you very much, Mr. Müller. Anyone else? If there are no further questions, then I'd like to invite you to join us in the press tour. We will be going to see 8 selected companies from all sectors, different types of animals, and so you really get an overview of what is currently going on in the pet industry. If you need somebody for interviews, then approach me or my colleague, Dr. Wagner. She's in the back here, and we will like to help you. And if you need a translation during this tour, you can also pick up a headset. Miss Brandl with the green jacket can help you with this. Thank you very much.